Okay, let's go to the next part here. This is good. You talk about collision frequency. So collision frequency is a factor in whether or not things will react. So the more you...
Reaction velocity is the concentration of reactants. The collision frequency of A and B, the two species responsible for formation of AB, would depend on their number.
Yeah. Depends on the concentration, but here you're talking about the collision frequency. So this is pretty good. Let me look and see.
On?
So here you're saying if you have one, there are going to be a certain number of collisions. If you have two of this...
Rate of reaction is proportional to molar concentration of each reactant.
So there is...
Depends on...
So higher concentration, more collision.
If this is in minority, the majority will prevail. But even if it is in minority, if it has the speed, if it can introduce a rapid reaction or a spontaneous reaction, one person is enough. Social collision.
Right.
So yeah, social collision theory. We're going to see how you rank historically here. So social collision theory refers to the application of collision theory to chemical kinetics. And so Alfred Lotka, he's social
collision is similar to the
let's take a look at the example here. He says, when the beast of prey A sights its quarry B, the latter may be said to enter the field of influence of A, and in that sense, to collide with A. So say when a wolf sights a squirrel or a chicken or something, they're running towards each other and they collide, and it creates the energy to get over the activation energy barrier. The energy that enters the eye of A in these circumstances may be insignificant, but it is enough to work the relay to release the energy for the fatal encounter. So he's using social collision theory like you're using, but 1922 in his natural selection as a physical principle. And he is, Alfred Lotka is social Newton number 20. Okay, let's take a look at this one here, so we can learn about internal pressure.
Nitrosyllabus.
So you say this.
Highly charged social elements who can easily be excited can be considered similar to Bessel reactions. Again, that antisocial element is the terrorist.
Terrorist is similar to gaseous reaction.
You just have to live in a neighborhood, in a slum.
Yeah.
Where good people and the evil forces, they live together, side by side, in the neighborhood, in each other's neighborhood. And
what about this right here? You talk
the
about
whole thing is simply unbearable.
Yeah, I can imagine. So the temperature is.
Avoiding average medical life like the liquids, while the well-ordered society behaves like a structure.
So how about the social temperature? The social temperature is higher in the slums because it has more gas-like antisocial elements. The temperature of the system, higher temperature in the slums, and then in the bigger cities, temperature is lower. Cold is lower. Social temperature. That's correct? Because there's more antisocial elements who are similar to gas reactions in the slums, so they have higher social temperature. The slums. Is that correct? Because right here you talk about rise in temperature.
The antisocial, they can easily be excited. So they are a potential bombshell. The antisocial element living in the neighborhood, in the ordered society, they are a potential bomb.
Potential bomb.
Yeah.
Okay.
So for
they
example,
can do anything.
So for example, you have many slums in a city. The slums, they actually have the potential of going off like a bomb.
Okay, let's do an example where the volume is fixed. See right here, you talk about the volume being fixed. And so a rise in temperature
Normal to the
a rise in temperature and consequently stirring of the molecules causes an increase in volume. But if volume is fixed, there is development of a force normal to the area of the body, and it is known as pressure. So let's just hear an example of this in your mind in terms of sociological example. So where you have force normal to the body at the surface is known as pressure. This would be, you have a example of a social surface, in, say in Karachi, where there's high pressure, where there's a lot of there's a lot of people or molecules pounding on a border and creating more pressure. Do you have an example in mind? Social example?
Take the example of containers. People are being smuggled in containers. Containers have to be sealed.
Where are they being smuggled to?
Now if you have to kill the entire one, it's easy. Kill a certain number of people.
Oh, okay.
Put them in that container. It will explode all by itself.
Oh, okay.
They
Yes,
will
that's a good
explode it themselves. If you have heard about the black hole in
Black hole?
Calcutta, yes, there was a black hole in Calcutta.
Calcutta?
The British police, about 100 people, they say it was about 200 people, dumped into a single room.
On the 20th of June 1756, British prisoners of war were imprisoned in the Black Hole of Calcutta after the Bengali army captured Fort William from the East India Company. The East India Company had built Fort William to guard their trading base at Calcutta at a time when the provincial governors of the Mughal Empire, known as Nawabs, wielded significant power. The Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dawla, was concerned that the company had begun to strengthen the fort in response to French interests in the area. Fearing that a stronger fortress would undermine his own political power in the province, he ordered the work to stop. When the British refused to comply, he sent an army of a reported 50,000 soldiers, 500 elephants, and 50 cannon to lay siege to the fortress. The Nawab's army met very little resistance as it advanced through Calcutta towards the fort, so the majority of British residents fled to the ships in the harbour. A small garrison remained in the fort under the command of John Zephaniah Holwell, an inexperienced military commander whose primary role was as a tax collector. Unable to defend the fortress, Holwell was forced to surrender on the afternoon of the 20th of June. He later reported that at 8 p.m, 146 people were imprisoned in the fort's tiny 4.3 by 5.5 metre lockup, of whom only 23 survived the night due to heat exhaustion and suffocation.
So how did they die? What was the cause of
They
that?
themselves. So many people stuffed into the well.
Okay, so basically it was a chaos that killed them.
The Jews, what do they call it?
The concentration camps?
Concentration
camps?
Concentration camp.
All right.
That is the way. That is the easy way of killing so many people at the same time.
Oh, okay. That's a good example. The pressure, they're putting pressure, more force per unit area when they're pressurized.
Silica and lime do not react.
Yeah. So this is a good example
And
here.
calcium silicate does not form. Calcium silicate may form
If you grind grind them together.
Calcium oxide, calcium carbonate is converted into calcium oxide along with silica. That's how cement is made.
What do you think of his example here where he says that you can only make lime and silica react together
Do not form a silicate.
if you grind them together, grind the silicate of lime is obtained. So he says when you have participants in a meeting, they may avoid expressing their point of view, but if you grind the participants together and make them...
That's what we keep doing always, like in a training session.
Yeah,
what we'll do is we'll actually, give them time and give them, a task to meet as many people as one person can meet. So, we create a kind of a competition, and there you go. Like, people know each other.
See how cement is made. I am a cement chemist.
Cement.
The cement, yes.
Cement chemist.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
How cement is made?
Yeah.
You burn limestone along with clay, siliceous matter or shale. You burn them at a temperature about 1430, 1450. And then it is almost insipid fusion in the form, clinker formed in the as incipient fusion. So that is one way of making calcium silicate. Now, calcium silicate can also be formed provided you have lime, that means devoid of that carbon dioxide, and intergrind it with water, and that gives you mortar. So in that case, pressure is being applied. In the other case, in the forward case, it was the temperature that was being applied.
Okay, let's see what you say. Your extension of these principles to society suggests
And
that...
then there is the external and internal pressure.
Internal...
This has been haunting me too.
Haunting you?
You have some internal pressure within yourself.
Internal pressure, you think, is what comes from
In the mind.
Oh, okay. And external pressure is the
And
pressure...
the external pressure is the pressure from outside.
Oh, okay.
Let's say heat. The temperature has
So
outside.
you also talk about,
But
let's say the system is Pakistan.
But if the internal pressure is high, that gives you the blood pressure.
Okay, that's how you think about this?
That internal pressure is stress.
Okay.
Or
So you
humans-
say a disordered society constituting antisocial elements, for example, terrorists, would have a large internal pressure. Is that correct?
Antisocial elements would have large internal pressure.
So a disordered society full of terrorists has large internal pressure. That's correct?
Yeah.
Which can be brought down by adequate...
They create
External pressure.
a stress situation anyway.
What gets brought down? The internal pressure
Adequate
gets brought
external
down by...
pressure or regimentation.
Can you explain this? You say you can bring down the
If you-
internal
if
pressure
you have
by
a
adequate external
regime-
pressure?
If you have a external pressure, that means put a police force there. Get them out.
A police force? Policeman?
Any force like regimentation. You have some regimentation to bring about order.
So you get them out?
Get them out.
Oh, okay.
Get them out by force. That internal pressure, that stress that is being created, can be relieved by getting the antisocial element out.
Okay, let's try with a diagram. Okay, so look here, Mirza. Make a diagram. So you say a disordered society constituting antisocial elements has large internal pressure. So this is the this is the disordered society. These are the antisocial elements. This is the pressure in internal sub-I, and it's high. And this is the boundary of the disordered system, right? Now, you say a disordered society constituting antisocial elements would have a large internal pressure. Okay, so I agree with you there. But now you say that this internal pressure can be brought down by adequate external pressure or regimentation. So
Regimentation or external pressure.
Okay, so here I'm making the diagram here. So Mirza says that a disordered society, which is this society, the boundary of the society, these are the antisocial elements, and he says it has high internal pressure, P sub I. So, and he says that this internal pressure can be reduced by adequate external pressure or regimentation. Well, now let me draw the external pressure from the point of the outside is the external pressure, P sub O. So, and this is the pressure out. This is going to be force per unit area. Force. This is the pressure outside. So this is, there's going to be, you want to explain this now in terms of regimentation. You said if we apply large external pressure outside versus pressure inside, if we apply large force per unit area to the outside of the system, you said we can reduce internal pressure.
We take the example of regimentation.
Okay.
Okay. In occupied Kashmir this time, it's all they have all been put inside their houses.
What is the name?
In Kashmir.
Kashmir.
We Pakistanis have a term for it, Indian occupied Kashmir.
Okay.
In other other versions, you would be hearing Indian Kashmir.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Indian side of Kashmir. Or we call it Indian occupied Kashmir because of our country's view on the matter.
So this system,
This
system could be Kashmir.
Yes, this can be.
They
Kashmir,
consider
yes.
that.
Yeah,
a
from
sort
the
of
Indian
mutiny.
point of view, this is exactly what how they see it.
Okay, I'm going to write it down here.
They consider it a sort of mutiny.
So
Yeah.
this system is,
Mutiny is the internal pressure.
okay, wait, let me write it here.
Mutiny, so some sort of mutiny.
This system is Kashmir.
Yeah.
How do you spell
From the K
Right here, in here,
K-A.
A SHI
this internal pressure.
HI.
This social system is the system of Kashmir.
Yeah. So this is
This is the
what's
boundary.
happening is what's happening is that right now they are actually trying to get free
Yeah.
from the Indian occupation, and India is actually militarizing it more and more, regimenting it, right, in a manner. So it is now officially the highest ever militarized area in anywhere in the world.
Okay.
As I said, there there is one officer on every 7 Kashmiris.
Okay, so explain to me the external pressure and the internal pressure in terms of Kashmir. Give me what does that mean?
The future. A mutiny is going on. Forget about Kashmir. A mutiny is internal pressure, right?
Mutiny.
Mutiny.
They want
Or
to-
a war of independence, maybe. A war of independence.
War of
is-
independence.
Mutiny means they want to take over the ship.
Yeah,
They want,
Yes.
they want to
Just
just get
mutiny.
free from the Indian occupation.
Okay, so these
So
are antisocial elements. and they want
Anti-government.
to mutiny.
Yeah, they are
So
anti-government.
there is a rebellion.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
rebellion.
These are rebellion forces.
So high enter. And they're
in order to
antisocial
crush the
elements.
rebellion, in order to crush the rebellion, you have to apply a force. The internal force is the rebellion
Okay.
is an internal force.
Yeah, force per unit area.
Yes. In that case, it has to be put down by external force.
Yeah.
The federal government there is applying the military force onto the Kashmir problem or on this.
So
on
this external
on this
force
territory.
is the force of India.
This is
Yeah,
the force
this
of
is the
India.
force of India. Yes.
India military.
This is the
Indian
force of
military,
India, and that is being used externally. That is the external force being put into onto this valley, which is rebelling against their occupation.
Oh, okay.
So the internal pressure can be put down by external pressure,
Okay. Let me.
or cool it, create an atmosphere so that everybody is peace loving. Go meet their demand.
Oh,
Find a solution.
okay.
That's how it can be cooled.
Okay, let's go right here to this part here. Curious. This makes. Where I wrote the word curious. This means it's curious to my mind. I like this one.
Basic abilities really leads to a background of their social environment. Yes,
But
not always. This process is comparable with that of solids towards their melting point. See those smectate and
So, what did you find curious? Like,
Hmm?
what did you find curious?
The non-availability.
let's go back to that graph of the activated complex and the rural population
To a breakdown in their social environment.
looking forward for you. The
I
rural
don't know how to think
population
about
here is under the dominance of the feudal landlord.
Feudal law?
Yeah, the landlord systems.
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Basic amenity in rural areas leads to breakdown of their social environment. See, this process is comparable with that the solids towards their molting force.
Yeah, out the
they work as free labor.
Yeah, maybe I'll come back to this one.
They
What about this one here? You say, when such a pressure is applied to a solid, they yield to the pressure on reaching the limit of compressibility, and there's a random breakdown of the lattice. So right here you say, when pressure is applied to a solid, sooner or later the lattice is going to break down. Can you give me a social example of this? Like what is the social solid? What is the applied pressure, and where does the
go ahead
lattice?
and there is a graph explaining that.
If you don't, nothing comes to mind, it's okay. Just from your memory, can you have a memory of this? Or if you have a solid, for example, a nice big city that has solid structure, and you apply pressure to it, and it breaks the lattice down.
The compressibility.
What city comes to mind?
The compressibility in a compact structure
Yeah.
will break it down anyway.
Yeah, but what is the solid? What city is the solid?
You apply pressure on a solid, let's say sodium chloride,
Mm-hmm.
salt, the salt that is taken out of mine.
Mm-hmm.
You crush it, it will crush at a crush.
Yeah.
It will be crushed at random.
Yeah. So I understand that, but I want to know, in your mind, where's the social example? Which one is the social solid? What city?
Yeah, if it is a compact structure, compact law-abiding citizens.
What's the name of the city? From an example.
Any society which is law-abiding.
Okay. And then where is
They are
the?
following the rules and everything.
Okay.
But then somebody comes in
And applies pressure.
Applies pressure.
What would be an example? What kind of pressure?
They are going to break down all of them.
Give me an example of the pressure. One example.
I want this piece of land for myself.
Okay.
Vacate it. I don't care how you go. Vacate it.
Okay.
So I would actually say, or just for the sake of understanding, actually this is where Indian occupied Kashmir and Pakistani Kashmir, actually the story actually begins here.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was that their ruler, that was a Raja at the time, so monarch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he actually decided to link with India, and it wasn't in the in the spirit of the law that was being made for separation of Pakistan and India, right? So it wasn't in the spirit of the law, and the people living in Kashmir, they were expecting that they would be linked to Pakistan. So what happened was that out of random, by application of force, this land was actually stripped away from its owners. And then
broke down the social lattice.
Absolutely. So basically that broke down the social lattice, and then started a huge struggle. And in the wake of this struggle, Pakistan actually responded and took over some part of Kashmir. But the other part that was left away, it was it's still suffering.
Oh, okay. I see.
So this is what
Take the
Pakistani
example
version of the
Afghanistan.
conflict is.
So, what?
Take the example of Afghanistan.
Uh-huh.
Afghanistan has a certain structure,
What's the
social
name?
structure of its own.
Afghanistan.
Oh, Afghanistan.
Afghanistan,
Mm-hmm.
So
in the case of Afghanistan, the Taliban had almost secured a government of their own. That was not to the liking of the Americans.
Mm-hmm.
They somehow wanted to enter into Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is a very, very rich mineral source, mineral resources.
Yeah.
They wanted a piece of land. One. They also wanted to engage their military, because the entire economy, the world economy is oriented towards war. They must war. They must seek a target. They must have targets one after the other, so that the arms industry works. And if the arms industry works, everything doesn't matter what happens to the economy. It should work. So the Americans had that plan. Now, that example may hurt you, but I must tell you that this is an example.
No, it doesn't.
They came here. The American Pentagon, let's call it.
Yeah.
Pentagon wanted a target.
Yeah.
And they want to keep the target.
Yeah.
So they will do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I want to remain here. I don't care.
Yeah.
So they will not withdraw the forces.
Yeah.
17 years of war, and they don't want to go.
The whole story is very interesting.
Yeah. We have to. I get you gave me two examples. It's good. Let's move to the next one.
Yeah.
The external pressure of the Americans on Afghanistan broke down the social lattice. That's a good. I understand now.
No, I'll take you 30 seconds actually.
Okay.
What happened was, earlier there was a chaos, and Taliban actually regimentized the area, and they cleansed the opium production and everything, and they settled everything. Yeah, and then came the external force again. These people were external force to those people who were making havoc. They actually made peace, and then this the foreign invasion came, and then it was again it was the latest example what Dr. Peg actually.
Okay. All right, so here, let's take a look. evaporation seems comparable to migration. For example, the flight of migratory birds as soon as the temperature starts rising in the tropics. Well, that's a good example. And almost 2,000 persons per day on average flight from their homes. This can be termed the evaporation rate of the concerned population. There are a total of 11 million refugees or evaporates on a global basis. Some 15% of the population has vaporized from Afghanistan.
That's
This is good.
It's already 30%.
Yeah, yes. This is a good.
They have settled somewhere.
So this one here, this is pretty good. This out here, so everybody. The migratory process in the present context would comprise development of internal pressure in the above situations and having become much higher than external pressure. The traditional
The
linkages.
of the home are in the shaker.
The liquid side evaporates its internal pressure builds up further. Yeah, I guess that's a good.
Now comes Jaliwala Bagh. I was talking to you
Bag,
about.
yeah, the bag Afghanistan. Okay, here's your example. We're going to go to the diagram. So the people of India.
This was mutiny.
Mutiny.
This is the mutiny I was trying to come up with this example of internal pressure. You build there were 25,000 persons there.
So the Indian
It's
society.
fighting for independence. They are gathered there.
Yeah.
But this man came here, he came here. I want to punish them for the rebellion, for disobedience.
Yeah, you know this.
And he killed everybody.
Here, you'll come and explain it on the camera, and then I'll do the diagram.
So, what happened was that people of India actually helped the Britishers in winning the First World War, and this was around like 1940, 1939, 1919.
1999 का युवा है.
Yeah, correct. So, what happened was these people were expecting that they would be given reward. Instead, what happened was that however the wartime restrictions on the Indians continued. Further repressive measures introduced by the rulers yielded a wave of opposition storms. This happened across the India. It didn't have anything to do with Muslims or even Sikhs or Hindus. This happened across India, and actually people started feeling that we are being ripped off of our rights. So the great, the great Bhagat Singh and like the likes of these heroes, these started to pop up. And further, what happened was this situation is similar to subjecting the society to high pressure. Like people were expecting that they would be rewarded due to being induced in the military. Now they were being punished in many manners. Like Britishers were very good at making people subdued. So they introduced some bullets that were actually supposed to they were supposed to be opened with their mouths, and these bullets were containing the fat of swine, which is which is very much impermissible for Muslims, and at the other end it had a mixture of the cow.
Bullets from the gun?
Yeah. So you had to actually open it up somehow. You had to actually pull something off. So there was a lid kind of a thing. So this content which you had to pull off from your teeth, it had the content of swine as well as cow. And these are two animals that Muslims and the Hindus, they cannot eat.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. They had these in the guns they were shooting at them?
Yes.
In the bullets?
Yeah. And this actually created a big mutiny. These people started feeling offended from the religious point of view.
Oh.
And this actually,
ये 1800 तुम 1857 की बात कर रहे हो, ये 1919 का है।
नहीं, ये 1919 वाली बात है।
ये 1919 के अंदर में ये नहीं था, 1857 में था। जो तुम कह रहे हो वो 1857 का था।
वो जो
इसके अंदर में तो ये राउलेट एक्ट के तहत ये सैफुद्दीन को इनको बाहर कर दिया था ना।
जी जी जी,
इनको डिपोर्ट कर दिया था।
ओके,
सैफुद्दीन को उन्होंने डिपोर्ट कर दिया था।
या सो द प्रोटेस्ट मीटिंग्स वर बीइंग,
प्रोटेस्ट की मीटिंग थी। So the British, they wanted to punish
this followed after
it
that.
was India or it was Hindus or the Pakistani.
Yeah, Muslims.
Saifuddin Kichlu is a Muslim.
Yeah.
And this Satyapal is a Hindu.
Yes, so these people were actually, you know, it was a
freedom fight.
Freedom fight.
Mm-hmm.
It became a freedom fight eventually, and this, you know, culminated into this great event, which happened in 1919, and today we are sitting in 2019.
It's called Baisakhi Day.
It's Baisakhi.
Baisakhi Day.
Yeah, it is a
This
Hindu
is a
festival.
festival.
It is a Hindu festival. So what happened was the protest meeting were being held all over India against the Rowlatt Act, and when two leaders, namely Mr. Satyapal and Dr. Saifuddin Kichlu, were deported from Amritsar, a protest strike was called to demonstrate unity of thought, or that the process of crystallization had started. These people were, you know, they were supposed to be now getting together. Unity was being formed.
Okay.
So the 13th April was a Baisakhi day, and at 25,000 odd mixed crowd of Hindus, Muslims and Sikhs had gathered at a not too spacious Bagh, which was the Jallianwala Bagh. It was named Jallianwala.
The garden.
So, yeah, the garden, the Bagh.
Jallianwala is on the border of India and Pakistan.
Yeah. So,
Okay, so let's focus here. The Indians,
Crystallize.
Indians were trying to crystallize.
It's in the
yeah.
Punjab.
So what happened was,
That was a united Punjab at that time.
Okay, so the Indians wanted to crystallize, but the British wanted to put pressure on them through a military force.
Precisely.
So
Precisely.
down here,
so
they blocked the entrances off,
They were
and then
united.
fired
yeah,
1,650 of these
Rounds.
swine cow browns.
yeah.
Okay, let's go down a little bit. Let's see. Go a little further.
In the second edition, I'll
Okay,
put
so-
down this
Yeah.
in detail.
Yeah. So this serves as an example of heating a liquid under pressure, and of human beings bursting under great stress and scare of death through various
Human
openings.
beings bursting out under great pressure.
So 400
Scare of
400 people were evaporated off under high
Yeah,
temperatures, leaving behind residue.
Yeah.
So let's look at the diagram now. Let me see. So here's the diagram.
General Dyer.
So here you have the machine gun firing. This is 25,000 people inside the garden. So there was 5 doors. The British blocked off 4 of the doors, and they left this one here.
Yes,
So
that was quite something. Oh boy. When they had all gathered in here, in this garden, General Dyer said, shoot them. Later on he said, I wanted to punish them for their disobedience.
okay, let's try to focus on what you're saying here. So you'll say temperature of the liquid at the boiling point remains constant, which is the same as that of the vapors. Okay, on further heating, temperature of the liquid. So right now it's the liquid state. The boiling point is constant, and it's the same as that. The boiling point
It's
inside
like a
is-
boiler,
this
I
is-
want to say.
This is the vapor over here, vapor phase, right?
Hmm.
This is the liquid phase.
Hmm.
This is vapor pressure over here, right?
Yeah.
And this was the internal pressure. Now, on further heating, the kinetic energy of the particles, which are inside here, is raised, and the temperature of the system starts raising thereafter. So you say on further heating, the kinetic energy and the heating becomes from the bullets being fired in there. The light and the sounds of the people increases the kinetic energy of the system, and the temperature increases. The particles get highly energized as the temperature is raised, and there is commotion and disorder of the highest degree. You say one might find such process during oceans due to panic or disaster. So the situation is similar to subjecting the society to high pressure. The Indian society was still in the liquid state, and that there was no unity of thought and not much of an order had been introduced into it. The leaders were trying to unite the people or to crystallize the society by calling for immediate destruction. Yes, I guess that's a good example. So you compare this, this is similar to a sudden expansion of a gas. This is maybe the garden, and these are the particles escaping, like the gas phase or something.
The lattice energy, displacement of force, displacement by force. See how it works out. It's a non-uniform strain, and this is the strain that is in. This has no stress. Now stress is being applied. The strain is almost non-uniform strain. It becomes non-uniform, and this is the result. Lattice strains and their direction by the position and width of diffraction line. You can see that the strain is on the lattice energy, lattice itself.
Yeah.
So the lattice is the disturbance, and the lattice will result in disturbance in the lattice energy. And if that is, then it will yield to a liquid state.
Okay, so give us
Or it will simply break down.
give us example, sociological example of this.
We cited that example earlier.
Okay.
The solid can be disturbed, the solid structure can be disturbed either by heating or pressurizing. That the earlier one was by heating. The later one is by pressure. The earlier one was because we were heating. So the lattice will break down anyway.
So what about
in the
this?
latter case, it is pressure. Supposing there is a cube of ice, and you put pressure on that, it will start melting.
Okay, yeah, cube of ice. Oh, okay, I see what your pressure, and it'll start melting now
On the ice.
because it's breaking the lattice.
Yeah,
Okay.
the thread will break it. Will first melt it, and then also at the same time it will rejoin at that.
Let's take a look at this example here. You say calcium carbonate deposited in the cold solution is fine and well developed, but in a hot solution it is coarse and irregular. And sodium chloride deposits as cubes in pure aqueous solution, but it assumes octahedral form in 15% urea solution. Likewise, environmental conditions.
Chemistry books, chemistry students.
So let's say you
Sodium chloride deposits in cubes already, but in aqueous solution it assumes octahedral form in a 15% urea solution. So the crystal form changes.
Okay. So this, you want to apply this with regard to settlement of humans right here.
And it is the environmental condition that change.
All right, let's take a look at this one here. Physico-chemical laws can be extended to a variety of human relations and interactions. So what, right here you're using the term plural, laws. In your mind, what is the number one the main physico-chemical law?
In this case, it is condensation, evaporation and condensation.
No. This is a general question. This is a question in general. In terms of all of the physical-chemical laws, which one is the main one that applies the most to human interactions and relations?
Human interaction and physico-chemical laws, for me, this solution chemistry, the colligative properties of the the liquid.
That's the main law?
That is in my mind. The colligative, Henry's law and Raoult's law, they were in my mind at this stage.
Okay, but how about not in this stage, but right in this stage? Say let's say I bring out a list of 20 different physical-chemical laws, and I list them all. Which one is the most law that's the most powerful that applies to human relations and interactions?
Going back to that attraction and repulsion, which we considered as the gravitation of what was the name that we derived? Gravitational pull, socio-gravitational.
Social-electromagnetic gravitation?
Yeah, socio-electromagnetic radiation.
Gravitation or radiation?
Radiation.
So,
Social gravitation.
social gravitation, okay. So now we're on chapter 2, Solutions and Society.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Let's take a look at this one, Mirza. An individual in a society is like a drop in a glass of water or a molecule in a drop. One molecule cannot be identified from the other, yet there are scores of interacting forces on each molecule. In this case, the smallest particle of water, which is incapable of independent existence without these forces. The interacting forces are both attractive and repulsive. So you view each person as kind of like a small molecule in a liquid society. That's correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
So in the absence of such cohesive forces, water may not even be in a liquid. It could be in a gas state, but the presence of cohesive forces makes the difference. Water is therefore a sociable or associated liquid.
Water is an associated liquid.
So you believe that the principles Raoult's law and Henry's law apply in an analogy to society.
These are for ideal situations.
For ideal situations.
And the society is a departure from ideality. So the departure that is being predicted by Raoult's and Henry's law applies to the case of society, because the society has a deviant behavior. Society is, whether it is a compact society or any other society, it has a deviant behavior. No society is ideal.
Maybe we'll stop at page 24, because I'm starting to lose focus. I want to be able to give you strong questions.
Let's stop it here.